Math humans, we're going to do 5.4b today. We're going to be doing more sum and difference formulas. And so I wrote that our objectives are that we're going to do more trig fun. Woohoo! Gotta love trig. So for the first example, we're actually going to prove one of the other identities. So we're going to prove the cofunction identity. And that's going to be that the cosine of pi over 2 minus x is equal to the sine of x. So if you'll notice, the cofunction identity is really just a sum and difference. So the cosine of u minus v is equal to the cosine of u, the cosine of v, plus the sine of u, sine of v. Now when I do these problems, I always take the time to write this out, because as I start substituting in my angles and my values, I tend to make less mistakes. So when I do, this is going to be the cosine of pi over 2 times the cosine of x plus the sine of pi over 2 times the sine of x, okay? And I want to show that this is equal to the right-hand side, so I'm just going to do this math. The cosine of pi over 2 is 0, so that means that whole piece goes to 0. The sine of pi over 2 is 1, so I get the sine of x. Well, that was pretty easy, so then I get that the sine of x is equal to the sine of x. So then my cofunction identity, pi over 2 minus x, is indeed true, and I did it with the cosine of a sum. So for example number 2, I want to simplify, and we're going to have the tangent of theta plus 3 pi. So again, I'm going to approach this problem by using the tangent of a sum. Well, the tangent of u plus v, using that first formula, is the tangent of u plus the tangent of v divided by 1 minus the tangent of u and the tangent of v. So then the tangent of theta plus 3 pi is going to be the tangent of theta plus the tangent of 3 pi over 1 minus the tangent of theta and the tangent of 3 pi. So 3 pi is right here, okay? So that would be 3 pi. We just took a laugh, and the coordinates of that are negative 1, 0. So tangent is y over x, so it's going to be 0 over a negative 1, so it's 0. So the tangent of 3 pi is 0, which means this whole piece is 0, and so I'm going to get the tangent of theta. So then if I simplify and write my answer, I would write the tangent of theta plus 3 pi is equal to the tangent of theta. And there's other ways to think about that problem, but for right now, that's what we're going to use as our method. All right, example number 3. I want to find the exact value, and I'm going to have the cosine of pi over 16 times the cosine of 3 pi over 16 minus the sine of pi over 16 and the sine of 3 pi over 16. So the interesting thing on this one is that the problem started with the cosine or the sine of a sum. If you look at your identities, cosine, cosine minus sine, sine is the cosine of a sum. So this is the cosine of pi over 16 plus 3 pi over 16, okay? And I'm just going backwards. So then if I simplify that math, this is the cosine of 4 pi over 16, which is the cosine of pi over 4, which is 1 over radical 2. So that was actually pretty easy. So to report my answer, I'm going to do it from here. I'm going to say that the cosine of pi over 16 plus 3 pi over 16 is equal to 1 over radical 2. All right, I have one more example. Nice short day today. So example number 4 says find all solutions and we're going to go from 0 to 2 pi, so in one full rotation. And I'm going to be given the sine of x plus pi minus the sine of x minus 1 is 0. So this is a trig equation, and it's actually going to include a sum. So over here, I'm going to write the sine of u plus v is equal to the sine of u cosine of v plus the cosine of u sine of v. Okay, so now I'm going to simplify this piece using the sign of a sum. So it's going to be the sine of x cosine of pi plus the cosine of x sine of pi minus the sine of x minus 1 is 0. The cosine of pi is a negative 1, and the sine of pi is 0, so that means that whole piece is 0. So then I have a negative sine x, and then down here, minus the sine of x minus 1 is 0, minus 2 sine of x minus 1 is 0. And now I'm going to continue to solve the equation. Take this guy to the other side. So a negative 2 sine of x is 1, and then the sine of x is a negative 1/2. And then I'm going to draw my reference triangle. Sine is negative. This is a negative 1. So this is 2. This is a negative radical 3. This is 5 pi, or 6 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6. And then the corresponding angle over here would be 11 pi over 6. So x is going to equal 7 pi over 6 and 11 pi over 6. So knowing your specials is indeed handy. Alrighty, that's it for our sines and cosines and tangents of a sum. I will see you soon.